What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're back for career mode, episode number 12 for the Italian Grand Prix. I've been looking forward to this episode because we have some contract renewals to go through, but Monza is going to be a great circuit for us. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 650k. We might be able to get it in the next day or two, so please help me out if you haven't already. But let's get into this episode.
Our running costs are significantly less than the income we're pulling in. I suggest we start looking for opportunities to spend that profit margin.
And spend it we will, mate. Don't know if you know, but we've got to buy a teammate for the rest of the season. And Marcus Armstrong's value has gone up too high. So, as the title suggests, we are going to sign a new teammate. Let's not waste any time and show you who it is.
Essentially, being a realist, which I am, I probably won't get to Formula 1 now.
Welcome to F1, Dan Ticktum. We have extended the lifeline to the young F2 driver, and he has signed the contract. He wants to be part of F1, he wants to be part of the team, and he's actually a little bit faster than Marcus in quite a few, pace areas, but he's also got better awareness and racecraft, so we're going to sign him to the fold. He's only 800k in terms of value, so with that extra money that we've saved, an extra 1.2 mil, we can actually put that towards facilities, so that's what we're going to do. I'm sorry, Marcus, I know you're Australian and all. Well, actually, we've just found out he's Kiwi, so we had to get rid of him. Yeah, I couldn't keep that joke running forever. Anyway, we're going to do fabrication for the aero, and that is purely down to us signing a new teammate and saving a lot of dosh there. So things are really going to start opening up now that we've got that extra fabrication upgrade for the aero department. We've got a major weight reduction upgrade in the pipeline, which we've just bought. What else can we do? Upgrade-wise, we can do 2 upgrades per chassis department now, as per the fabrication upgrades we did a few episodes ago. But here we are going to go again for chassis, and it's going to be weight redistribution. That's a major one. Both of these upgrades going on in time for the Singapore Grand Prix. So I think this race will be a good one for us. Hopefully we can maybe get a point or two. Then the next race will be a bit iffy, but when we get to Singapore, when these chassis upgrades start piling in, when we can start doing some aero upgrades as well, by virtue of the facilities we've just upgraded, I think our season is going to turn around in about 2 to 3 races time. So yeah, I think we can finish the season strongly, but it ultimately depends on how many upgrades we can get on the car now for the rest of the season. Anyway, upgrade-wise, we've been overtaken by Williams, which is unfortunate. Massive strides for both McLaren and Aston Martin in the performance index. So those guys will be really putting pressure on the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes at the top of the standings. So I think this will be a great one for McLaren. Like us, they are very, very potent in a straight line, and they'll be the ones to beat this weekend.
Okay, Jeff here. You're causing unnecessary wear to your transmission. Try to take it easy, or we risk losing it.
Okay, thanks, Jeff, for the update. Just running through Friday practice now. We're running with our very first practice gearbox that we've been using all season in Friday practice, and it's a 93% wear. You can see how much smoke is billowing from the car. It's not exactly healthy, but these are the things we've got to do to really squeeze the lemon, to stretch our components as far as we can while taking minimal penalties this year.
We're showing a gearbox jam. You're going to be stuck in gear for a while. We're working on it the best we can.
Oh dear. Okay, we're stuck in 6th gear now. This is a bit detrimental to the research and development that we're trying to undergo in the Friday practice programs. That means we're not going to be able to pass this race run that we're doing because we can't get out of 6th gear. Anyway, after 2 laps, it managed to sort itself out, and we were able to get a race run in and get some quantitative data that we can use for the race and actually earn the resource points that we need. P10 at the end of the day after a qualifying run. And looks like the pace is pretty solid around this racetrack. Of course, Dan is, this is his first weekend in Formula 1. He's making his debut in F1 and for Marduk Motorsport, so I'm not expecting big things this weekend, although I would like him to do maybe just as good of a job as Marcus has previously, or maybe slightly better, because this is a strong track for us. Maybe not the best timing in terms of getting a new driver to test his worth against the best in the world, but that couldn't be helped. Alright, here we go for qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix. I guess it's time to find out if we're going to have a solid chance of getting some points this weekend. Hello. That's the first time seeing me as the front right jack man, or on the tyres, this year. I was there on F1 2020, but then they've replaced me. But it's kind of nice to see that I'm still there in some small degree. Anyway, Tiametmarduk works for Marduk Motorsport. Who would have thought it? Fast forwarding time in the session. We've already done a banker lap, which is good enough for P15, actually. So, on that basis, we are going to get out of Q1. Though the track evolution is always pretty crazy, we are getting demoted, or we might be getting demoted in this last minute of qualifying here. Because everyone else is out on the circuit. If I can finally get my words out, we're up by a tenth as we run through the middle sector now, gliding over those middle sector chicane curbs, and we're a tenth and a half up. Make that 2 tenths as we go through the first of the 2 Lesmos, through Lesmo 2 now, and nice rotation through there. The car is still understeery. I think that's worth noting. We're running 5.3 wings, or we were in our banker run. For this final lap here, we've actually gone to 6.3, and that actually has helped the rotation through the high-speed corners just that little bit better. Yellow flag out of the last corner. Not too sure what that's about as we get to it, and it's all clear. I think it was Latifi had a bit of a moment. Up to the line, we improved by nearly 4 tenths, and we get ourselves P13 in Q1. That is the fastest we've been all year. Only 1.2 seconds away from pole, and Dan Ticktum, not a good day. Not a good day at all to start for Marduk Motorsport. But we've got to be realistic here, guys. His first quali session for the team. 8 tenths shy of your boss. I think Marcus, if he was in the car, he would have got around Giovinazzi, Raikkonen. I would have liked him to be sandwiched in between there. But, yeah, maybe it was just a bad lap from my teammate this time around. Who knows? But Q2 wasn't so fruitful for us. I couldn't match my Q1 time. My Q1 time was amazing. Unfortunately, it was P16 for us in Q2. So, yeah, I rate my chances for tomorrow. Good strategy. We can cling on to DRS of those ahead of us. And we're always faster in the race. So, points is the goal for this race. And I think it can happen.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula 1 World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar. Monza hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Ricciardo, Norris, Sebastian Vettel and Stroll, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Tsunoda, Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen, Benjamin, Giovinazzi, Verstappen, Nikita Mazepin and George Russell, Latifi, Ticktum, Fernando Alonso and Mick Schumacher. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So then, penalties for Verstappen and Alonso has promoted us up to P14. So we're even closer to the point, and crucially, it is raining for the Grand Prix. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier, but the forecast has surprised us all, it seems. So inters to dries. If we can stretch the inters to the dry period, go mediums or softs to get to the end, then we're in with a good shot of getting some points, especially if the AI can't make it to the end of that wet spell before having to switch on to another set of intermediate tyres. If that's the case, we're in the money here. We're going to take some fuel out of the car, not too much. I am worried about having to run lean, or not run lean, because we can't do that, but having to fuel save at a power circuit, we're going to play it safe. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Italian Grand Prix. Good start up against Kimi Räikkönen, but the wheel spin is crazy. It set me off the circuit there. Lost places to Giovinazzi, Räikkönen, Verstappen. Mazepin is lining me up for a pot shot down into turn 1. And look at that, we gain all the spots back and more under brakes. So thank you very much. Front wings are being clattered up ahead. So someone here is going to be very slow off this start. And yes, I actually have managed to put the damage on for this race. Thank you, Codemasters, for having a glitch where if you don't check, it'll go to damage being off. But back to simulation damage for us, and that holds all the AI accountable, having to make them, well, it means that they have to race cleanly, otherwise they are getting nerfed big time in this race if they clatter into the side of other people. So the person who I think's got some front wing damage is Sergio Perez. You can see there's a massive train forming behind him, and the Red Bull is the second best car in the field, so something is definitely up with Sergio right now and has to be damaged. Going defensive into the Ascari chicane. You can see Stroll overtook him around the outside there in the wet, which is no mean feat. I'm struggling to lay down the power here in 5th and 6th gear, up into overtake now to try and get past Perez, and we're going to overtake a Ferrari in the meantime. There's the damage for Perez on the right-hand front upright of the wing. And whenever you get damage on this game, whether it be a little or a lot, it really slows you down this year. So staying out with a little bit of front wing damage is just not viable. Anyway, we're up to P5 somehow. We've overtaken so many cars, and so many people have dived into the pit lane. Look at all the people that are in the lane right now, changing their wings. The AI have had a mare today, and now we're fighting the Aston Martins for a podium in this Italian Grand Prix. There goes Alonso into the pit lane. Perez is in. I think Lewis Hamilton is in for a front wing change. Everyone, like a lot of the front runners as well. So they've completely relinquished control of this Grand Prix, leaving one of the Mercedes and Daniel Ricciardo to assume control of this race. And then it's the rest of us just fighting for P3. Anyway, we get past Vettel. He was too busy caught up with his teammate Stroll, and we get him. We surprise him into the middle sector. But yeah, we're in P4 somehow in this Marduk Motorsport car. Don't get used to this, because we're going to get overtaken by everyone once they get up to speed, once they get into their rhythm. Sainz is next, lining me up for a go here on the straight. The Ferrari is good through the corners, but unfortunately for them, we are amazing. We've got the best engine in F1. So we're actually going to be very, very annoying to the big teams, because we're going to be so hard to overtake. It's raining, so there's no DRS to help the AI actually overtake me. So they're going to have to work quite hard to get past me. Meanwhile, my teammate Dan Ticktum is in P12 at the moment. Make that P11 as Sebastian Vettel is now into the pit lane for what I can only assume is front wing damage, even though it doesn't look like he's got front wing damage there. He's into the pit lane anyway to get something sorted out. Defending down into turn 1 now from Carlos Sainz, who just can't get past me. Whatever he tries, he just doesn't have the straight line speed to get ahead and stay ahead. He can draw alongside, but we're a bit more brave under brakes for the time being. And it seems to be working. I guess while the tyres are still young and healthy and have lots of grip. But as things mature in this race, that might not be so easy. As you can see, Charles Leclerc runs into the side of Carlos Sainz, and now he's got front wing damage. So a Ferrari's into the pit lane. It doesn't look like Leclerc has damage, but with that level of contact on sim damage, he certainly does have damage of some kind. So it just doesn't look like it's visually doing very much. But Leclerc recognizes that straight away, pulls into the pit lane, My teammate now, Dan Ticktum, is in the points. He is running in P10 right now. So Marduk Motorsport are looking amazing for a good result today. Here comes Sainz again. This time round the outside into the Ascari chicane. Meanwhile, you can see the leaders who have all stopped. If you look at the minimap, they are catching, but maybe not by enough. I think if we can get to the end of this stint and change the dry tyres, we might be all right. Yellow flag on the start-finish straight. I think one of the Alpines is going really slow, and that is Fernando Alonso, who's out of the Grand Prix. Sainz has just disappeared. And Sainz is out of the Grand Prix. What's happened? Safety car has been deployed. I need to check the replay because I've got no idea what happened to my rival here. So here we go. Drag race up to the Ascari chicane, and Sainz has just thrown himself in a barrier. Sainz is out of the Italian Grand Prix, and the Tifosi are now leaving in droves. Right in front of them as well. He got a little bit of a tank slapper on, trying to change direction, and obviously the rear end wasn't able to support that. Straight in the barrier. Straight in the barrier. Sim damage is brutal on this game, and Sainz finds that out the hard way. Safety car has been deployed, and yeah, hopefully he's okay, because that was a big old shunt with the wall right there. Yeah. Absolutely crunched is that front wing, and yeah, you can see the crowd is absolutely devastated. Anyway, into the pit lane. Do we go? Are we going to come into the pit lane? No, we're not. We're going to stay out, actually, for the time being. I've checked the weather with Jeff. He says it's going to end in about 10 minutes' time, so I think we can stretch that, especially with the safety car laps we're doing at the moment. And yeah, we're going to resume this race in P4. The bad news is that everyone who stopped early, all the fast cars...
No threat of rain for the time being. Conditions looking good. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now. Dries or inters.
Okay, looks like that crossover might be coming sooner rather than later. But all those fast drivers who stopped in the early laps of this race are now going to catch up again. So it's Bottas, actually, who leads the race, not Hamilton. So yeah, it's Hamilton, the likes of Norris, who are going to catch up to this train and are going to be in the fight again. Ricciardo pits. What's going on there? Ocon is in the pit lane as well. So many drivers have just boxed for a new set of intermediate tyres, including my teammate. So I don't know what's going on. They're going on to dry compound tyres. What is going on with the AI right now? They are chanting it on a wet track with dry compound tyres. We saw how this worked out in the last Grand Prix in Zandvoort. The AI couldn't stay on the road, and now they're going to chance it again against simulation damage. Fair play to you guys for doing that, but it's not ready for dries yet. Dan Tixham, my teammate of the dry compound runners, is running in 4th place right now. So this is a crazy Grand Prix, and I don't know which way this is going to go. I'm going to stay out for as long as I can, try and maybe gap those guys on softs. There's no guarantee that we're going to stay on the green flag running here, because there might be about 12 cars in the barriers in a second. But here we go for green flag running. Safety car is coming in, and so is Bottas and Stroll. We now lead the Grand Prix. The only car, I think, on intermediate tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton, he loves staying on the intermediate tyres when everyone else is on dries. So that, at least, is realistic. Thank you, Codemasters. But here we go. We have the majority of the field on dry compound tyres on what is still a very wet circuit. So they're going to be tippy-toeing around for the next 5 or 10 minutes. But comparing the delta to those on dries, you're actually losing time somehow. So I don't know if that's genuinely the dries being better in these conditions. What I think it is actually the faster cars, the much faster cars, are just masking how slightly slower the dries are in these conditions. But with all that evidence, I'm actually going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. We are going to switch to dries, even though it doesn't look like it's ready for dries, but we're going to do it anyway. So here we go. Side by side with Daniel Ricciardo. He's actually made a bit of contact with us there. I hope I haven't damaged his front wing. I didn't mean to. I was trying to squeeze him a little bit. Just trying to make it difficult for him. Then he ran into the side of us. But regardless, yeah, we're coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Ricciardo is all over us. You can see having to go defensive pretty much everywhere. He is not lacking any downforce. And there he goes. Clean around the outside into Lesmo 1. Lesmo 2. Look at the traction. He is absolutely gone in this race. And look at who's in P3, right behind us. Esteban Ocon. Always there to pick up the scraps when there's absolute carnage in this Italian Grand Prix. He takes P2 with a very impressive outside overtake. And now he's already putting pressure on Ricciardo through the Ascari chicane. I'm now under pressure from Tsunoda and Dan Ticktum. So I've got to get out of the way of my teammate, but I also need to come into the pit lane. I need to be on the right-hand part of the circuit. There goes Dan Ticktum. I think he's now on the podium, essentially, in this race. I'm pulling into the pit lane. Ricciardo is in the pit lane as well, so he did have damage from me. And the Australians are really ruining each other's races now, it seems. And Ocon now leads the Italian Grand Prix. Tell me this isn't like real life. This is this is ridiculous. Onto the medium compound tyres. We went from leading this race to now last with Daniel Ricciardo. I hope there's another safety car or something that can bail us out and get us back in the fight. But meanwhile, here is Giovinazzi, no, Raikkonen actually, fighting away with Dan Ticktum. This is for P2 in the Italian Grand Prix, and there's only about 13 laps to go at this stage. There's the running order. Ocon leads from Raikkonen, from Ticktum, from Perez, from Norris, Tsunoda, Latifi. What a mental grid. I don't know who's going to win this race, but Lando might be half a shout in P5 or 6 or wherever the hell he is. So, yeah, it's looking very, very tasty for some of the lower midfield teams. There are some big points on offer today for some of those guys. Hopefully, Ticktum can hold on and actually get some big points in this Grand Prix. He's got the engine and the car to do it. Let's see if he's got the consistency and the composure to stay there. Anyway, Ricciardo gets past us. I think it was not really worth fighting that battle, especially given how fast he is. And look at him absolutely flying off into the distance. He switched on to medium compound tyres. I tell you what, though, we might be actually half a chance of getting back into the points if the AI need to make another stop, because they are on the softs and they've been on them for a few laps now. It's going to be touch and go as to whether they can get to the end on this set of compound tyres. But never say never. We've got a DRS fault. Not that I'm going to be needing that, because there's absolutely no one in front of us. Latifi is out of the Grand Prix, and I think there might be a safety car, and this is why. He's had a major moment at the Ascari chicane, right on the exit. I think he's touched the curb, and yep, the safety car is out once again. So our race has been saved. We're going to be able to rejoin on the back of the queue on medium compound tyres. Whichever way you look at this, I think we're set to gain quite a bit, because the AI will either stay out. Here's a nice photo opportunity with the safety car. You're welcome for that lovely thumbnail. Whatever way we look at this, the AI are A, either going to stop again, or B, they're going to try and stretch it on their softs, and they're going to have no or less pace than us towards the end. So I think we're looking pretty good in this race. Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. From what I could tell, no one made a stop under yellow flag conditions. So that was rather interesting. So the AI are either going to screw this up massively by stopping under green flag, or they're going to try and stretch it to the end, and we're going to have a fun old time overtaking these guys with our OP straight line speed. So get a snack, get some popcorn. This end to the Grand Prix is going to be pretty crazy. 10 laps to go in the Italian Grand Prix, and we are fighting for some major points. Side by side with Ricciardo as we get ready for green flag running up into overtake, and it's not been a good restart. It's not been a good restart at all. Ricciardo lining up George Russell. He goes defensive. Russell is not going defensive. He turns defense into attack, and he overtakes like 4 drivers on the run into turn 1. That is absolutely ridiculous. George Russell is looking for more points. He's trying to force that Mercedes move at the end of this Grand Prix. Who knows? Anyway, there goes Lance Stroll trying to overtake George Russell. He then makes a bit of contact with Max Verstappen, I believe. And I wonder if Verstappen now has front wing damage. As soon as there's a small glimpse of an AI having a little bit of damage, they are straight in the pit lane. But Verstappen is not. He's staying out there trying to fight with Lewis Hamilton. It looks like he's one of the only few men who can take this win away from Lewis and take some championship points away. Red Bull had a good round last time out in Zandvoort, and they're looking to kind of back that up. As you can see, Hamilton looking for the move up the inside into the middle sector. These guys still on soft compound tyres, by the way. The majority of the field has now pulled in the pit lane for another set of tyres. So I'm thinking that all the soft compound tyre runners are going to come in again, including Hamilton and Verstappen and whoever the hell is leading this race. I think it might be Lance Stroll up the road there. So going defensive into the last corner. I think this is going to be for the lead of the Grand Prix. Me and Ricciardo, you know, on the medium compound tyres. Our contact with Ricciardo giving him front wing damage has put him on the OP strategy, and now we're fighting for the lead for this Italian Grand Prix. One of the best cars versus one of the worst cars. What is going on here? Side by side into the first chicane, and we come out on top from the Australian. What is going on in this race? Mick Schumacher's in P3, and there's only 7 laps to go. I think whatever happens now, we're looking pretty good for a podium, because Ocon is the nearest, or Perez now is the nearest guy who can make it to the end, who's on soft compound tyres. Schumacher has to come in again. There goes Ricciardo, tried to defend, but it's futile against the McLaren, which, you know, even though they might not have a better engine than us, they've got more drag reduction upgrades than us, and ultimately they are the speed kings in a straight line. So there's almost nothing we can do. We don't have their level of downforce. Hell, we don't even have Haas's level of downforce. It's pretty ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to see if we can hold on for P2. Winning the Grand Prix is completely beyond the realms of possibility, even with the AI's massive blunder of not pitting under safety car. It looks like we might be able to get a podium if we can hold on for the time being. The gap to Norris is 10 seconds, and I think we might be able to do that, but we got to keep pushing. We got to keep consistent. We got to keep stable. Oh, that's a big moment through turn 1. Just as I was saying, we need to stay consistent and be fast to keep these guys behind. We've only gone and thrown away 5 seconds. What an idiot, Ben. Too fast into the corner. Silly mistake. Easy mistake to make on F1 2021. And that's it right there. We really could have done without that, to be honest. 5 laps to go, and the gap is 4 seconds. And they do seem to be catching me by about a second a lap, maybe slightly more. By that reckoning, they're probably going to be on me by lap 26. So let's see if we can defend from Norris. It was very difficult to defend from Ricciardo on the same compounded tyre. Norris is on softs, which are, yeah, quite a bit faster than mediums at this point. But we're going to utilise the strength of our car, and that is straight line speed. We're going to try and break the slipstream. We're going to use overtake where we can. We are running low on that. I've been trying to burn it to keep them at arm's reach. But you can only burn so much of your ERS before you need to give up the fight and think about picking your battles a little bit better. And Norris, we've just got to accept that he's going to overtake us, and it's going to be potentially a McLaren 1-2. But one battle we are going to pick, that's with Perez in the Red Bull. Maybe they're not as good in a straight line. We can use the DRS and slipstream of Norris to stay ahead. But look at that. Perez has a golden run out of the middle sector chicane. Completely surprised me there. Gets up the inside, and we're now not on the podium. We are not on the podium. With 2 laps to go. If we didn't spin, we might have been okay. There goes Bottas as well. I was using the DRS off of Perez, and I wasn't actually boosting. I wasn't using overtake on that straight. I thought I'd be okay to save a little bit. But Bottas' straight line speed completely caught me off guard. And he's actually catching Perez off guard now as he goes round the outside into the last corner. It looks like he's going to pull that off. So Bottas, Mercedes is absolutely ridiculous. They've got the straight line speed and the downforce to back it up. There's nothing we can do, and even the Red Bulls can do at this point to defend from those guys. But now it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. Our priority now is just to keep P5. We've got Vettel behind us now. P5 would be a marvelous result, given everything that's happened today, given the spin. If we could get 10 points, that would be monumental for our constructors' finish. Don't have to defend too much going into the middle sector chicane. Really, you can see I'm really on limited grip there. The tyres, we're complaining a little bit. We closed the gap on Vettel. We tried to get the inside there. It is the last lap of the Grand Prix, so you got to say we're perfectly entitled to move around a little bit. Anyway, Vettel has a little look at us up the inside into Lesmo too. Could have got the move done then and there, but I think he half backed out of it there. So we're going to hold on to P5 for the time being. Here comes Leclerc around the outside of Vettel into the Ascari chicane. Remember, Leclerc had a coming together with Sainz at the start of the Grand Prix, and he's going to recover to maybe get P5 if he can get us into the last corner. Ricciardo rounds the last corner and is going to win the Italian Grand Prix, all because we took his front wing off earlier in the race. We forced him onto medium compound tyres, and that was the game changer for McLaren. 1-2 for those guys in front of the Tifosi. They are loving life, but so are we. It's going to be P5 in the Italian Grand Prix. 10 points.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Wow. What a race. Best one of the season for us. I'll take it.
Here we are then, a thoroughly deserved win in Italy after another excellent Grand Prix. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm really happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
What an unbelievable race. If you enjoyed that, make sure you smash the like button. That was such a roller coaster of emotions, but like literally a roller coaster of positions for us. We started towards the, well, we did lower down. We qualified lower down. We started lower down. We got ourselves to the front after the first lap. We made the wrong decision under safety car, the first one, when all the AI boxed for dries, when it was still kind of wet. When we did pit for dries, sent us towards the back. Then the AI had to come in again because they missed the second safety car. And we found ourselves at the front. And yes, I think we probably could have got a podium there if I didn't throw it away. So yeah, the mistake probably cost us 5 or so seconds. I think Norris probably would have got us anyway. He had much better pace than us. So I think maybe without the spin, we might have got third. We might have been able to get third in our first season of Formula 1 for Marduk Motorsport. But it's not to be. P5, though, is still an amazing result. With that big bundle of points, we don't actually move forward in the driver's standings. We get closer to Alonso in P12, but it just kind of solidifies the positions we're already in. 13th in the drivers, but 8th in the constructors. I don't think now that Alfa Romeo are going to be able to catch us in this season of career mode. So, massive race for us. Absolutely massive. And with the upgrades coming in a few races' time, we might actually have the momentum behind us to start putting some pressure on Alpine. So, I guess getting upgrades on for Singapore and making sure that they don't fail, I guess, is going to be very important for us, either staying where we are or potentially moving forward in the constructors. So that's going to be the priority for the remaining races of the season, to build some momentum for Season 2 and get ourselves in a position where we can more regularly challenge for points. But there we go, guys. That has been the craziest race of the season. The pace in the first 2 laps was incredible. I don't know how we were able to overtake much faster cars there. Maybe the AI weren't really... I don't know. Obviously, there was a few people out there with damage in the first lap or two. But I think the AI in general maybe was struggling for tyre temp or something. Because we were able to overtake a few people who didn't have damage, I think. But anyway, Awesome Grand Prix. We got everything out of this race that we needed to. We targeted this one as a big one for us, given the upgrades that we do have and the strengths we have. We fully maximized Monza. Now, let's see if we can pick up some scraps at some circuits where we're not so good at and improve our weaknesses on this car. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. I'm really enjoying my team. We've got a new driver on board as the teammate, so let's follow his progress for the rest of the season. Until the next video, guys, I'll see you next time.